The fifth king of Israel, named Zimrí, king Vapt Vupt. Because I, evangelist Gilson Gonçalves da Silva, I call this king Vapt Vupt. Because this king was so cursed, but so cursed by God, his reign lasted for only 7 days, counted literally, according to the Holy Scriptures. Now let me remind you of one thing. It came the time for you to sign up for our channel. Also leave your like or dislike, and if you want to comment at ease, thank you. Now let's go for video. The story of the fifth king of Israel, Zimrí, is marked by betrayal, ambition, and a quick judgment. The son of Sheba, Zimrí, a commander of the chariots of war, the Israeli army, known for its courage and skill in battles. Your life was surrounded by political intrigue, and he served King Elah closely. Always be aware of opportunities that could bring him to power. Its strategic position as commander of the chariots, he direct access to the events of the palace, not where he witnessed the acts of omission and indulgence of the king, without imagine that this proximity will one day it would lead to committing a fatal blow. He ruled weakly and negligent. Zimrí saw the decay of the kingdom, and the people suffered from the instability and irresponsible government, and the morale of the army, it was down, despite being loyal to the armed forces. Zimrí had a heart divided from one duty to Israel. On the other hand, the ambition to conquer the throne. With the time, the line between these two motivations became tenuous, and the desire to, when he became king, he fed his thoughts. He began to plan secretly a blow, waiting for the right time to act. When the opportunity finally arose, Zimrí did not hesitate. Taking advantage of a failure of the king, he was drunk and vulnerable. In Tirsa, Zimrí saw his chance of changing fate. Yet he knew that his decision to betray the king and usurp the throne would bring serious consequences, and his story would become a lesson for all future generations. An example of how unbridled ambition might lead to ruin. He would try and engrave your name in the history of Israel, but the cost would be too high. The plot during the reign of Elah, the fourth king of Israel, whose leadership was marked by weakness and omission. He spent his days in pleasure and banquets, managing their responsibilities as king, while the Israel's enemies were growing stronger, and people suffered under the weight of a government weak. The king indulged in wine, ignoring warnings and warning signs danger. His complacent behavior, not passed unnoticed, and the murmur of discontent was growing among the soldiers and the leaders of Israel. Zimrí, observing this decay, he saw his opportunity to draw. As commander from the cars, he had access to the palace, and he was aware of her weaknesses. Ambition led to planning a coup that, quick and decisive, he knew, to conquer the throne would have to act with precision, taking advantage of it when the king was vulnerable. On a party night in Tirza, while she was drunk, without worry about the threats around you, Zimrí put his plan into action, disguised as not to attract attention. Zimrí entered the banquet hall where the king lay in a drunken state. The environment was full of laughter and music. While she, unaware of the danger, he drank without moderation, with silent steps and expression of determination. If approached, and the betrayal took place in a fall, the king was stabbed by the back, without having time to react. The life of she was gone right there, sealing the fate of Zimrí and starting a chain of events that would change Israel always. After eliminating Elah, Zimrí acted quickly. To consolidate his power, he knew that the elimination of the king by himself only, it would not guarantee the stability of your government. To ensure that there was no legitimate heirs who could claim the throne, Zimrí took a drastic and cruel decision. Exterminate all of the house of Baasha, the father of Elah. With a cold determination, he ordered his soldiers chased every member of the royal family, eliminating any possible competitor. It was an action merciless who did not spare even the younger or those who were far from the throne. This execution in mass was a direct fulfillment of the prophecy of the prophet Jehu, who had God's judgment on the dynasty of Baasha because of their sins and of his corrupt leadership. Zimrí, perhaps unconsciously, it served as instrument of this divine judgment, erasing all traces of the lineage of Baasha. The violence with which he acted demonstrated his determination to remain in the power as the fear of being overthrown so quickly as it had lit up. With the house of Baasha completely destroyed, or palace of Tirzah was silent, the empty throne symbolized both the end of dynasty as the uncertain beginning of the reign of Zimrí. He sat on the throne, but the shadow of his deeds hung over the kingdom, and the shed blood cried out for justice. The reign of Zimrí, though violent, in its rise was ephemeral and surrounded by opposition in his power grab. It was not accepted by all, and the resistance quickly emerged. The army of Israel, who was involved in a campaign, military to besiege the Philistine city. Gibeton was alarmed to hear the news of the coup in Tyre, and the news spread like wildfire. The fire caused outrage among the soldiers and officers. Zimrí had no support solid among military leaders, and many saw him only as a usurper, treacherous, who signed with blood his way to the throne. The answer came with a proclamation of Zimrí, the commander of the army, as the new king of Israel. Zimrí, he was a respected and experienced leader, known for his skill in battles to earn the loyalty of his men. When he was declared king by the soldiers, the siege of Gibeton was promptly abandoned, and the army united under the Zimrí leadership, determined to testify Zimrí and avenge the death of Elah. Soldiers marched towards Tirzah with expressions of anger and purpose. Unwavering, the march of Zimrí towards Tirzah. It was just a military action. It was a declaration that the people and the army, they would not accept a ruler who will rise to power through betrayal. Zimrí's fate was sealed, and the sound of the troops approaching resounded as an announcement of judgment against the one who dared to defy the order established. In a matter of days, the Zimrí's fate was sealed. The army led by Zimrí, he besieged the city of Tirzah, closing all escape routes and leaving the usurper without alternativas. Do alto das walls, Zimrí could see the soldiers of Zimrí mounting the siege, his ranks extending to the horizon. The pressure increased every moment, and the silence sinister, which hung in the air, was broken only by the cries of the commanders, giving orders to his men. Zimrí, wise that his brief reign of only 7 days was coming to an end, helpless and without allies to help him, he found himself completely alone. The officers who had supported were dead or had turned against him, and the people who watched his fall did not demonstrate no sign of loyalty. With the troops from Zimrí closer and closer, Zimrí made an extreme and desperate decision. In the last act of defiance and frustration, burned down the royal palace, preferring to die in the flames than to be captured and humiliated by his enemies. The fire, it spread rapidly, consuming them. Luxurious ornaments and the tapestries of the palace, the heat of the flames became unbearable, and the dark smoke rose to the heavens, announcing the tragic end of Zimrí. He died engulfed in flames, ending her short and turbulent attempt to reign over Israel. Thus, the Zimrí's story became a lesson bitter about the excessive ambition and the price of betrayal. The reign of Zimrí, brief and full of turmoil, it came to an end, leaving a legacy of cause and destruction. His 7 days of power became one of the most turbulent years in history of Israel, marking an era of instability and struggles for the throne. The end, Zimrí's tragic, served as a sign of divine judgment upon those they seek power through betrayal. The same fire he lit himself, symbolizing the destruction that his unbridled ambition brought to the kingdom. With the death of Zimrí and the fall of the palace of Tirzah, Zimrí took the throne, bringing a new era for the northern kingdom. The transition of power was not quiet, and internal conflicts, they continued to haunt Israel. The people who witnessed the rise and fall, Zimrí suddenly reflected on the cost of bloodshed and the volatility of a government based on violence. A brief history of Zimrí. It was recorded in the annals of kings of Israel, where his name appeared among the rulers, who paid a high price for his thirst for power. The 7 days of his reign became the example of warning, reminding the generations of the acts treacherous by Zimrí. His life was consumed by fire, teaching the generations future consequences to seek the throne. Without God's approval, and without a purpose fair enough. The story of Zimrí is an eternal warning about the dangers of an ambition that knows no bounds, and the treacherous paths leading to ruin. his attempt to conquer the throne by force and violence made him face the divine judgment, quickly and relentless. The fire that he himself lit it, consumed it, demonstrating that those who seek power at the expense of blood and treachery, they will not find peace, but destruction. The kingdom of Israel still would go through many challenges and rebellions, with successive kings trying to rule a divided people and a nation marked by civil wars. In the midst of chaos and disputes for power, the justice of God continued to prevail, fulfilling his word and judging according to his eternal purposes. The trajectory of Zimrí, it serves as a reminder that the throne without the blessing of the Most High, it cannot be maintained, and that only those who follow the ways of the Lord, you may find true stability and peace. If you like this video and want to continue to follow the fascinating history of the kings of Israel, subscribe on the channel so as not to miss any chapter. Leave your like to support our work and share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to activate the Tinkerbell to be notified of all new videos. That the Lord bless your life, and until the next chapter of this incredible journey.